What's up, what's up, what's up? Your eyes and ears don't lie. Right back at you. And man, I was chopping it up with one of my boys, and man, we're talking about this inmate who was recently executed, and we got a difference in opinion apparently about how execution should take place for murderers and people that do the most heinous crimes in the world that absolutely warrant the death penalty. And for me, I support capital punishment, but my only concern with that is the fact that there are so many wrongfully convicted, and that's final. You can't undo that. So that's my only argument with the death penalty, is the fact that we know that there is a huge amount of wrongly convicted people, and disproportionately people of color, that are on death row and in general in the penal system. So that's my only quarrel with it. But in situations where that's not the case, where you have irrefutable evidence as to guilt, sometimes that's the most deserving penalty that you can have. And I know some people feel like it's worse to be confined for life. I don't know if I agree with that, because I see a lot of these people doing life without the possibility of parole, and they sitting up in that bitch smiling. They getting 3 hots in the cot, and you should never be able to experience any kind of happiness again with some of the crimes these people are committing. So you get to live off the taxpayers, and to some people, prison ain't that bad. You see them in there smiling, giggling. You have your social hierarchy of people that you associate with, unless you're in a supermax or somewhere where you get 1 hour of sunlight a day. But a lot of these major penitentiaries and state prisons, federal prisons, all that, you still get to interact with people. So I'm not with the idea that doing life for everybody is worse than facing that execution. Because you get to go on creating memories, and even though you institutionalized and confined, you still living. Your victim's not. But everybody doesn't feel like I feel, and I'm not trying to tell anybody how they should feel. Because everybody, you got a right to feel how you feel. But I know for me, I think you should be punished in the same way of the crime you committed. Because one thing about the criminal justice system is that sometimes the penalties are not enough. Because the purpose of a penalty is to deter future bad behavior. And a lot of people that are repeated offenders, not all, but a large majority, it's because you don't care if you get caught. If you get caught, it's not that bad. Nah, you need a penalty that you fear, that overwhelms any of your urges to commit future crimes, because the penalty is that severe. Sex offenders and pedophiles, all them, y'all should never be going to prison in the special needs yards, the protective yards. Y'all should always be dropped in the general population and let only the strong live, and let them dudes do you like you deserve to be done. Protective custody for the worst and most vile. Nah, put you in there with the real animals. You know, you wanted to commit these crimes, this sexual deviancy and all that. Go in there with some real killers. Not some people you can victimize. Go in there and let you be the victim for every day of the rest of your life. Yeah, you ever get out, you ain't gonna do it again. Because you're gonna have a lasting memory, if they don't kill you, about what's gonna happen if you go back. Because people like that, you deserve the worst of the worst that society can give you. Not no protective yard. Not no special housing unit where you with other pedophiles and rapists and shit like that. Nah, go in there with everybody else. And when they find out what you did and who you did it to, then the guards can go on break. Because they be turning a blind eye when they think the person might deserve it. Because the largest and most vicious prisons, They rule by the inmates. And that's what keeps other inmates in line. But as I was talking about with this dude in Nashville, Tennessee, he was executed. His name was Byron Black. This dude killed, and I don't want to get her name wrong, because this is something where too many times we talk about the criminals and we don't talk about the victims. In 1988, he killed his girlfriend. Her name was Angela Clay. She was 29 years old, Angela Clay. He killed her and killed her 2 daughters. Her daughter, Latoya, was 9 years old, and her other one, Lakeisha, was 6 years old. This dude killed all 3 of them and been on death row. And they just executed him this past week. Despite his lawyers and his doctors trying to get him to not execute him because he had a heart monitor and a pacemaker. The hell that got to do with you facing your consequences? But when they executed him, he kept crying out in pain and saying how much it hurt, because as his heart rate was slowing and he was in the process of dying, his pacemaker kept shocking the shit out of his heart to try to get it beaten again and all that. And the doctors had argued that you shouldn't execute him with the pacemaker. Nah, what I would have did is I went in there, I would have taken the pacemaker out or turned that shit off. Or who gives a shit what you feel and the pain you feel? Did you consider how your victims felt when you killed this mother and her 2 kids, 9 and 6? Were you compassionate about that? So fuck these dudes. There's too many times in our criminal justice system where you disregard the victims and you talking about fairness and humility and compassion for the criminals at the expense of the victims. Did he think about that shit when he was killing this lady and her kids? No. So when you get executed, you ain't supposed to be put to sleep like you a sick dog, where you just drift off into sleep and don't feel nothing. That shit need to be painful. It need to be horrible. Because that's what you deserve. Because you shouldn't be getting a death penalty and be up for execution except for in the worst crimes that you can commit. And that's just how I'm honest to God really feeling.